3/4 of 299. Anyway, I just wanted to make that.
Sabi nga din, sabi ko, I think that's an issue that should better be discussed in the Supreme Court. Dito sa atin, sa akin, I simply assume that it is unconstitutional.
Sir, I believe it can be, either one can be constitutional. It depends on the Congress, but the way they decide on whether it's voting separately or voting jointly, that vote must be done separately. Yun lang ang punto doon. The Congress can decide to do it jointly. If both House and Senate both agree.
That is the position of all the constitutional experts
I agree with that.
that we invited. They have to vote separately. The two houses have to vote
establish a rule, but they could make it jointly.
Yeah, there's a school of thought written by some pundits and I think echoed also by some senators that the best recourse is to just ignore the whole thing because the House cannot do anything anyway without going through the Senate. Is this alone?
This is the position of some people, even our minority leader. Nobody wants to challenge it before the Supreme Court because the moment we do, then the Supreme Court may act on it, and we don't know what kind of action will come from the Supreme Court. If nobody would challenge it, then the Supreme Court will not be able to act. As I said, they cannot act. They can still ignore it on the reason that it's not yet in order.
Yes.
It is out of turn. It is out of turn. It is premature. So what will happen is nobody is acting. Meantime, the time clock is ticking. So in this particular case, they might be forced to convene as a Constituent Assembly. And then, as I said, the moment they come out with all these amendments, it will hit a cul-de-sac. It will hit a dead end. Why? Because there cannot be a plebiscite.
Kasi sir, at least we are watching everything that's been going on from a distance, no? From the comfort of our living rooms. But you're there, you know the people who are involved, you know the House leadership. Yung basic question, lalo na doon sa mga hindi masyadong nasusundan yung ConAss resolution, that is there a way for the House leadership to really pull this through, na magkaroon ng Constituent Assembly? Is there a way, given the propensity of the current administration to just rely on shortcuts and political power?
Well, I think they're capable of doing that. We have to assume that they will. You know, when you take defensive action on something like, let's say somebody who's holding a gun, you have to assume that that person is ready to pull the trigger. You cannot say, he's not going to pull the trigger. So, no, you always have to assume. That's why, as I said, there are still safety nets here. Because, as I said, in my opinion, this cannot be presented to the people in a plebiscite because the plebiscite cannot happen without a law in the plebiscite, without an appropriation provision. And even if somebody can produce the money, remember the case of Victor Barrios a long time ago. Sabi niya, is going to produce 150 million pesos for an election. You still need an appropriation. Hindi mo pwedeng ibigay lang you cannot just transfer to the COMELEC because the COMELEC will ask, what's this for? And they will have to be ordered by a law, ordering a plebiscite to be conducted by the COMELEC.
Sir, paano kung kunin sa intelligence fund ni Gloria?
Hindi nga order because there must be a proper transfer of fund from somebody to the COMELEC. The COMELEC can just accept that kind of money without knowing where it's coming from, what it's for. So just know what you're talking of a big amount like that, there must be a reason for the appropriation of that money.
Does this suggest something, Congressman, that perhaps it is not actually ConAss thereafter? Maybe I can ask you to discuss another provision of the Constitution, which is the martial law option and joint voting.
Let's not delve into that.
Okay, okay.
We are already going into some realm.
Now that's joint voting,
A
right?
realm of speculation and let's focus on this.
Sige, sige.
Siguro Dean, yeah, my apologies for being late. Siguro I can jump into, but I think, Kung Go, let's close this. Late last year, sir, and early this year, there were quiet moves for a group, which I will not name right now, to initiate ConCon initiatives, for a ConCon to be pushed. In fact, I know the personalities who were supposed to jump into that. In fact, I blogged about it. That at that point in time, last year, there was a fallback option for ConCon. Why do you think that has been discarded?
Because ConCon, to have a ConCon, will need a bicameral action. And if the Senate will not agree to a ConCon, then nothing will happen. There are several bills, several resolutions pending now for Congress to call a constitutional convention, and the election is going to be held in 2010, synchronized with the 2010 election. Pero hindi masyadong pinansin ang committee on the constitutional.
Kasi I'm sure, kasi it has been variously estimated that if a separate ConCon was called and the separate elections were called, not bundled with the May elections, it would cost somewhere in the vicinity of 8 billion. So is it simply a matter of the fiscal aspect? That's why this regime has decided to really throw away that option and take a more blatant approach?
No, that was not discussed in the committee on constitutional amendments. I would like to limit myself to what we discussed in the committee on constitutional amendments. As I said, the ConCon resolutions were basically not deliberated upon seriously. Actually, there's another way of convening a constitutional convention, and that is for Congress, by majority vote of all members, to call for a plebiscite, submit it to the people. And the best way to submit it to the people is in 2010. Parang isa sa mga questions to be asked, it will be a yes or no proposition, or either